Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. All right, today we're gonna be finishing part 2 of the Milky Way tumbler and using my iconic pigments. If you have no idea what I'm talking about and you have not seen part 1, please go back and watch that video first. I promise it'll make so much more sense. Also, if you have not heard about my fabulous new iconic pigments collection, please go back and watch that reveal in my videos as well. You'll be thanking me later. Okay, first things first, before you go into laying your metallic pigments on top of that glitter, you're gonna have to put at least 1 or 2 layers of epoxy on top of that raw glitter. Now I know what you're thinking. A lot of times people tell me, Nicole, my glitter is just too spiky or the epoxy is too thin and it's not covering my glitter. How many coats do I have to put on top? Well, the trick of getting your glitter covered the first or second time is letting your epoxy thicken up. What I mean by letting your epoxy thicken up, you're gonna want it to activate. When it starts to activate, your epoxy gets nice and warm. Now be careful, it gets hot pretty quickly. Depending on the brand of your epoxy, my brand is FX. So I know that as soon as I start to churn my epoxy, part A and part B are gonna start to activate with each other. You can feel the warmth on your cup. Once it starts changing temperature and it starts warming up, that is when you want to apply. Okay, let's get to it. Churn that epoxy, let it get nice and hot, and then slowly with a gloved finger, apply it nice and even. You don't want to pour your epoxy on top. You don't want a drippy, falling, oozy mess. Nice and easy, apply it 1 coat at a time. Once you have finished coating that tumbler, step back, give it about 5 minutes, let all those bubbles that churned rise to the top, and then hit it with your heat gun or your torch. Move quickly back and forth. Do not let it sit in one spot because you will burn your epoxy. Now all you have to do is just let it cure, come back, feel it. If need be, apply another coat. Follow the same steps and you're good to go. We are ready to put our pigments on. Now you may have 1 coat, you may have 2 coats that have already cured on top of your raw glitter. I only used 1 coat because I waited for my epoxy to thicken up super thick, and it was really warm. When I put it on, that's all I needed, just 1 coat. So this is a single coat right here. And I get that just by letting my epoxy warm up, okay? So let's go ahead and measure out our pigments. I have my Hepburn, I have white dye, and we are going to put Bogart. Now, I want to show you exactly how much of the iconic pigments you need. So here you go. Here's your pot, and here's your little very tiny popsicle stick. You're going to barely put any of that in there. That is how much I'm going to apply to my pigment. I mean, that is such a small amount. And throw it right into your little cup right there. Pour your epoxy. Now you don't need a lot. You don't need a lot of epoxy because this is just for veining, okay? I use a little bit extra white, and then I'm gonna use half the amount for my rose gold, okay? And the rest is gonna go on my cup because I like a wet cup when I'm mixing my veins on my cup, okay? So we're just going to get it nice, put a layer down of epoxy. Now I'm gonna work fast because my epoxy likes to activate and get warm. And you don't want it to get too hot because once it gets too hot, you can't even touch it. Great coverage, but you can't touch it because it's too hot. Okay, so this is my second layer of epoxy. And like I said, I like to put a wet layer of epoxy down before I put my pigments. It helps with the flow. It kind of lets it move a little bit freer. Okay, let's go ahead and start mixing our epoxy with our pigments and our micas. All right, we're gonna give this a good mix. Just like that. This is our rose gold. This is the Hepburn from the Iconic collection that I carry in my line. I'm gonna go ahead and mix my Bogart, and just that small amount gave us a lot of coverage. So this pot is gonna last you forever. You don't have to use a lot of it. It is highly, highly, highly concentrated. So, and now we're going to mix our whites, and I'm gonna dip my popsicle stick and just barely drizzle it across. Take my rose gold, drizzle that across as well. I don't have any kind of plans when I start drizzling. I just throw it back and forth, just like that. And I kind of measure them like heavy, medium, and light. And so for this one right here, I wanted to go heavy white, medium rose gold, and light of my Bogart. Medium of my Hepburn, which is the rose gold. And I kind of alternate them back and forth. Then I take my Bogart and I just throw it right on there. Wherever it may land is where it's gonna go. All right. After that, I just go ahead and I take a little bit more of my white if I want it to be a little bit more white, and I just pull it down. Kind of help it move itself around the cup with my popsicle stick. So I have 3 different strands going on here. I have a white, which is my muted color. I have my Hepburn, which is my rose gold. And I have my Bogart, which is my classic gold. And that's it. Next thing I like to do is I'll take my heat gun and I'll just give it a nice pass. I'm not gonna stand around in one place for too long with my heat. I'm just gonna hit it. Pop those bubbles, move it very fast. And that's how it's done. Let it do its thing, step away from it, come back. If you see more bubbles popping up, lightly hit it again. But the more heat you put to it, the more your pigment and your epoxy is going to run. Okay, so you want these little veins. You want all these little swirls and patterns to just freely move and organically move. You don't want it to be a mudslidey mess, okay? All right, if you do see this here at the bottom, it doesn't really bother me all that much, but sometimes I just like to pull it down so it doesn't look like it's going in a circular motion around the cup. You see how this is going like that? I'll just come right here and I'll just help it go down towards the bottom of the cup to make it look like it's flowing to the bottom of the cup. Just like that. Just break it up. All right, easy peasy. Let it sit like this, let it turn, let it cure. It's already warmed up, which means it's gonna start to cure at a faster rate. If your room is kind of cold, it's gonna take a little bit longer. Okay, right now my room is about, I wanna say 78 degrees, which is perfect because I'm down here in Houston, Texas, so it's the perfect kind of temperature for epoxy to cure. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna leave it alone and let it do its thing. All right guys, awesome. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this tutorial, give it a good thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe down below. This week's video cup shout out goes to Miss Riley Pagano. Miss Riley, your cup is flawless. That Peekaboo Mermaid, love it girl.